Welcome. If anyone, excuse me, happens to be here early, this is my pre-show tech time, just to make sure that everything is operating well technically. So I'll be looking around, verifying that everything's working okay. If you happen to be here early, I'd love it if you'd say hello and introduce yourself. At 10 before the hour, we will begin what I call the pre-show, and that's just an opportunity to connect socially, informally, share whatever we want to share, say whatever we want to say before the show actually begins. So I welcome your introductions, your comments, whatever. If you happen to be watching this on a replay, on a recording, you can certainly fast forward it to the actual start of the show. But for live streaming, this is something that's very important to make sure that everything's running right. So let's see. Looking good. So far. Looking at my website, seem to be okay there. And we seem to be okay on YouTube so far. Looking good so far. Again, if you happen to be tuning in already, I'd love it if you'd say hello and give me your name and where you're from, just so we can start connecting. See if there's anything here that I need to take care of. No. So far, we are looking good, which is always a good thing with live streaming. Anything can happen if you don't already know. I can see that Andrea is here from Germany. Welcome, Andrea. It says you're here for the first time. Thrilled to have you with us. Let's see. All right. So far, we are looking good. Facebook comes on in about 30 seconds, so we'll make sure that that's going well. Again, this is my tech pre-show, just to make sure everything's working well. The pre-show will start at 10 before the hour, which is coming up in a few minutes. Waiting to make sure that Facebook comes on okay. If you see me looking away, the camera's here, but I've got other computers and things here that I need to check, so I have to look away from time to time. Facebook is coming on. And that is looking good so far. All right. So far, we seem to be looking good technically. So the pre-show will start at 10:50 my time, 10 before the hour. If you're here already, I'd love it if you'd say hello. Give me your name and where you're from. I always love to know where everybody's from. And again, the pre-show, the 10 minutes before the show starts at 11 o'clock. My time is just to say hello, chit-chat socially and informally, and connect before the official show begins. It's not about teaching or me answering questions or anything. It's just social stuff, informal stuff. Hello from Hayato. Hopefully I pronounced that right. From Japan. Welcome. Names are so difficult when we're dealing with international things here. I do my best. Sometimes it's really hard. Let me see. I gotta pop this out. How do I do that? There we go. There we go. Okay. So we have Janice here from Ohio. Welcome, Janice. And we have Marion here from Oklahoma City. Welcome, Marion. In about a minute, we'll start the pre-show. Anyone else that's here, I'd love it if you'd say hello and introduce yourself. We have Dana from San Francisco Bay. Welcome, Dana. I'm just making some final adjustments so I can see everything here. We are looking good technically so far. Everywhere. Very nice. Anyone else? Kathy is here from California. Hi, Kathy. All right. The pre-show is now officially on. You can see the countdown timer. When it hits 0, the show will officially begin. Joy is here from the Bay Area. Welcome, Joy. Welcome again to Andrea from Germany. Again, always forgive me if I mispronounce any names. I do my best. Eddie is here from Japan. Thank you for the amazing Ultimate Key to Happiness book I started to read again. My pleasure. What's in that book certainly rocked my world in ways that I never expected, never anticipated until it happens. And so I look at that as such a blessing to me and to others, what's in that book, Ultimate Key to Happiness. Cool. Welcome again to Kathy, Marion, and Janice. Welcome again to Dana from San Francisco Bay. Again, if anybody wants to just say anything, share anything, this pre-show, the first 10 minutes before the show, is just for social chit-chat. No official training or teaching or anything. I'm looking now, I'm much more careful now. I did a show 2 weeks ago and it started and everything appeared to be fine. And then all of a sudden, YouTube and my website dropped out, and I was busy talking and didn't realize. So I've created a new, a new rule to periodically check to make sure everything is still streaming fine. So everything's looking good. Jim is here from Denmark. Welcome, Jim. Michael's here from Spain. Welcome, Michael. Michael, I don't know if you're a soccer fan. I am a Real Madrid soccer fan. Waiting anxiously to see if you are a fan, if Real Madrid makes any big acquisitions for the upcoming season. I'm very excited to start watching it again. I'm very much into Spain soccer. I first got into it with my son, and then he lost interest. He's a teenager, but I'm still really enjoying it. So cool. Anyone else? Robert is here from Rome, Italy. Welcome, Robert. Thrilled to have you here. Let's see, anybody else? Dana Clark says, what does my shirt say? It says, there is no spoon, which is a saying from the first Matrix movie related to life being an illusion and other things going on other than what we are aware of. I'm a big Matrix fan, and this is a shirt I've had for a long time. I don't know if you just can't see it because the video screen's too small or if it's my my little name thing there, but it says there is no spoon. And then the green stuff is the Matrix code if you happen to know the Matrix movie. Michael says, I enjoy it as well. I'm assuming that's Spain soccer. I suppose it could be the Matrix. All right, let's see. Anybody else happens to be paying attention? I'd love it if you'd say hello, tell me where you're from. This pre-show, which will go until the countdown timer hits 0, is just for social informal connection. If you happen to be watching this on a replay or a recording, you can feel free to fast forward until the show actually starts. It'll be obvious when it starts. I've got this little intro video that runs first and then the official show starts. Hi, I am Tong. I'm saying that hopefully correctly. From Taiwan. I think you've been with us before. Tong, welcome back. Thrilled to have you here. Thrilled to have all of you here, even if you're not introducing yourself. But I would like it if you'd introduce yourself if you're here. Let me know your name and where you're from. Michael says English and Spanish. I really was never much of a soccer fan, Michael, and then my son and I actually watched, excuse me, a documentary on Cristiano Ronaldo, who I'd never heard of, excuse me, and my son had never heard of, but that got us all interested in La Liga and Spanish soccer, and so I started watching Spain soccer, and I have not extended that, and I wasn't really available. I was in China when the World Cup was going on, and I couldn't watch that very much. I monitored their results. But Dorothy is here from MA. I'm assuming that's Massachusetts. Joy says, how are you doing and your family? I'm wonderful. My family's well. Also, my son is here at the house with me in his room across the way. This is my office / command center over my office, over the garage in my house in Virginia in the United States. And so it's detached from the house. And my son is in his room over there, probably playing video games and doing technical stuff. He's about to go back to school. My daughter is at the beach with some friends and is getting ready to go to college for the first time in 2 or 3 weeks. Everyone's fine. Thank you for asking. Dana says he loves the Matrix trilogy. Cool. I'm partial to the first movie in the Matrix series. From what I understand, there is so much what I call truth with a capital T, spirituality, whatever you want to call it, embedded deeply and subtly and symbolically in all of the movies. But to me, the first movie had the most truth with a capital T that wasn't so subtle or symbolic or references to other things. And I love all of them, but I'm partial to the first one, which is where this shirt comes from. Let me see here. Anyone else, if you happen to have just joined us, the countdown timer is end of the pre-show, just an opportunity for social, informal chit-chat. Before the show starts, love it if you'd say hello, tell me where you're from. If you are watching right now, let's see, somebody, got to make sure no one's trying to get access to the show through the group, which I have to approve them for. Ole says, Ole from Denmark here for the 14th time. Wow. Well, this is the 14th episode, so now I'm not seeing his comment here. So what am I missing here? This is on, I'm going to try reloading this. Okay, there it is. So maybe I will start seeing those. All right, we're looking good on all of the streams, which is good. A little over 2 minutes, the show will start. Deanna is here from Nevada. Welcome, Deanna. Thrilled to have you here. I'm not sure I recognize your name, but maybe you've been here before and I just forgot, or you didn't introduce yourself, or maybe it's your first time. No matter what it is, welcome. Thrilled to have you here. If you don't know, these are my Harry Potter computer glasses that I need to wear at this point in my life to be able to have computer screens crystal clear, and I have to look at them to do this show. Joy says, you are here to understand the choice you made from the Matrix. Cool. Anyone else here? I'd love it if you'd say hello. Give me your name and where you're from. The countdown timer is the countdown of this pre-show. When it hits 0, the official show will start. So last chance in the next couple of minutes to say hello, give me your name, where you're from, share anything you'd like to share before the show officially begins. Not seeing any other comments. Again, everything is looking good technically. Hopefully that will stay that way. Cool. I don't know how well you can see it. It's kind of behind me and the countdown timer's missing part of it, but I just redid this this little top of this bookshelf. So I've got Morpheus from The Matrix in the red chair there, and a character from the second Tron movie. These are all things that are from movies or TV shows that I love, that inspire me. Harry Potter, Dumbledore from Harry Potter, Doctor Strange, 3 characters from Westworld, Neo from The Matrix, the Avatar from, I'm forgetting the name of the movie, but anyway, they're my friends. And then above it is a signed picture from the TV show 24 that my assistant Nancy got me of Kiefer Sutherland. I loved that show when it was on the air. All right, let me take a look here. Are you still doing the t-shirt thing, Joy says? I'm not sure what t-shirt thing means. If you could be more specific, I'd be happy to answer your question. If you mean, am I making my own and offering them? No. But if you mean something else, let me know. Shasha, oh, here we go. Time to start the show. Welcome to another episode of the Ultimate Freedom Teachings video series. Welcome to the Brutally Honest Tuesdays show, a place that you can come every week to say goodbye to hype, dead ends, and frustration, and hello to the truth that sets you free. I'm Robert Scheinfeld, and I will be your host. In case you don't know, I'm a New York Times best-selling author, a speaker, a coach, an entrepreneur, and a major renegade, thus the title of this show. I'm also the creator of the Ultimate Freedom Experience, my life's work. The purpose of this show every week is to drop major drops in the pond of your life, your consciousness, your awareness that can ripple out and affect you long after each episode ends. And the purpose is also to push hard and aggressively on lies, illusions, and stories so that you can discover and experience the truth with capital T's that's out there waiting for you. All right, hello and welcome to episode 14 of the Brutally Honest Tuesdays show. The topic for today is how to be forever free from negativity, which we will get to in a minute. But before we do that, I have a big announcement and then just some administrative things to go through. First, and if you've been a regular participant or if you're just new, this may be disappointing. But this is going to be the last show that I'm going to do that is going to be a regularly scheduled same day, Tuesday, same time show. This is the 14th episode. And what I've discovered is there's a bunch of reasons, but the main reason is my travel schedule has really picked up. And it's just to have it be, hey, I'm going to do the show every Tuesday. And then every time I'm traveling and I'm going to miss one, have to do something to say, oh, well, no, it's not. We're not doing it. I decided I was going to reverse the dynamic, which is not make it scheduled. But then when I'm going to do a live one, announce it. It's much easier for me. It's what I call lifestyle friendly, and I'm looking all the way through to the end of the year, and there's just going to be too many Tuesdays that I'm going to miss. And so this is going to be the last show that's going to be done as a regularly scheduled thing. And so what I'm going to ask you to do, you can do whatever you want, but if you go to this page, you can, number one, get access to all of the previous episodes. And if you haven't watched all of them, my strong invitation to you is to watch all of them, because there's pure gold, to my bias, of course, in all of the episodes. But if you also go to this link and you scroll down a little bit, you'll see where you can subscribe to my email list for this show only. I promise you no spam. I promise you I'm not going to blitz you with 20 million emails about things. But since I'm switching what I'm going to do, I strongly suggest you subscribe to that email list, because that'll be the primary way I will give advance notice of when I'm going to be doing another live stream. So make a note of this. It's my website address /BHT for Brutally Honest Tuesdays. Do subscribe to the email list, and also you can get access to previous episodes of the show there if you haven't already watched all of them, or you want to review them. So that's the first thing I want to say. And the second thing is the basic flow for this show, if this is your first time watching, whether it's on a recording or you're here live, is that I share, for give or take, 30 minutes on a particular topic. Again, today it's how to be forever free from negativity. And then we transition into a give or take 30 minutes of questions and answers. And I answer questions on the topic that I share in that show, or topics that I've talked about at other shows. but I do not answer questions on what I've shared in the books, online courses, live events. That's not the purpose of this show. So again, 30 minutes of sharing, and then approximately, give or take, 30 minutes of questions and answers if we have that many questions. If not, then we end early. And so that's the basic flow of the show. I do ask, if you feel that you got value from this show, I ask you to please like it, share it, and whether you are participating live or you're watching this on a recording or a replay, wherever it is, please comment. When you do, even though I'm live, the only connection that I have with you is through what you type in. Again, whether you're live or you're watching on a replay. And I like to know that you're there. I like to know that this is having impact on your life. It's rippling out, as I showed, and how, if it is. And so I really would appreciate it. I know you're busy, or maybe you have a story that you're shy or whatever else, but I would appreciate it if you would comment, again, whether it's live or a replay, and share it and like it, which supports the show, supports me and my work, and you can also give other people a gift who expose themselves to these things. So I always, except when I forget, and I have forgotten, I don't know, 2 or 3 times, I like to have a quote of the week. So here is my quote of the week for this week. From the absence of understanding, and understanding is capitalized meaning of truth with a capital T, to the presence of understanding, there is a process at work. It's the same process that results in the growth of a baby in the womb, and both occur without conscious effort by anyone. And this is a quote from Wu Xin, who's one of my favorite ancient Chinese master, I guess I would say. I share a lot of his quotes. And the message of this should be clear. Perhaps it will be more clear at the end of this show or after you've watched some of the replays. The implication is, and I've been talking about this a lot in my work in general, in all of the previous episodes, is that there is an intelligence with a capital I, who you really are, what I now call true creative essence, that is responsible for all of us being here and everything that happens. And it's that intelligence, it's who you really are, that is creating everything and making everything happen. Not all the things that we think, not our thoughts, not our feelings, not our intentions, not the things that I call it the party line out there say in terms of how reality really gets created. And so that quote is meant to just kind of push on that a little bit. Let's see. Anything else I wanted to say? Nope. Oh, yeah. If you haven't already, please go to this URL on my website, robertscheinfeld.com/guide. Download a copy of this PDF guide that I created for people. It's called Living the Unblocked Life. It's a quick read. It will open the gateway to going much deeper into the things that I share during this show. And then there's a 4-part video masterclass that follows it up if you want to go even deeper. But it's the first step to go deeper into the kinds of things that I'm talking about here. If you don't already have a copy, my invitation to you is please go there and get yourself a copy. All right, how to be forever free from negativity. Some of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about in this episode, I talked about from a slightly different angle, adding some different things in a previous episode that was about unwinnable wars that you fight in your life. So if you haven't seen that, after you finish this, whenever it works for your schedule, I would invite you to watch that other episode. The title is something about unwinnable wars. I can't remember the exact language. So, negativity. If you look at your life and you look at the word negativity, there are 2 primary forms of negativity that we experience. The first part is thoughts. We have thoughts that are negative. And those negative thoughts, they can be negative about yourself, beating yourself up, harsh critic of what you did, what you didn't do, how you did it, whatever. You know what I mean? So they can be negative thoughts about yourself. They can be negative thoughts about other people. They can be negative thoughts about the things that are happening in your life. They can be negative thoughts about, if you're like I used to be, the creator. You know, I used to have all kinds of negative thoughts about this. I said about this intelligence with a capital I, that we all really are. I used to have an enormous amount of anger and rage at that intelligence, and so there were a lot of negative thoughts. Angry at that part of me the language doesn't serve, for these things that it was doing that were so difficult for me. And so you know what I'm talking about, I think, don't you? You know, in terms of negative thoughts. So put a Y in the chat box if you know exactly what I mean when I say negative thoughts. And we all struggle with them, some people more than others. And they can cause more of a knocking down of your quality of life, what you might call suffering, pain, struggle, when these negative thoughts appear. And so again, if you struggle a lot with negative thoughts, put a Y in the chat box so I know. The other form of negativity is obviously emotions. You know, we struggle with negative emotions, the emotions that are called things like anger, frustration, depression, fear, anxiety. You know what I'm talking about again. And so these are the two primary forms of negativity that we struggle with. Negativity in thought, negativity in feelings and emotions. And by the way, if I use the word feelings or I use the word emotions, I mean the same thing. They're pointing to the same thing. They're just different words. Sometimes I use one word, sometimes I use the other, but it's all talking about emotions. And so the challenge that I used to have, and my guess is the challenge that you have, and the challenge that just about everybody all over the world has with negativity, is it just happens, right? You're going about your life. Somebody says something. Somebody does something. Something happens. Whatever it is, something happens in your life. And then boom, there's the negativity. Something happens and boom, a negative thought appears. You might language it as in your mind. My language for this now, through the Ultimate Freedom experience that I offer, the Ultimate Freedom teachings, is inner space. That thoughts appear in inner space, but most people would say in my mind, in my head, whatever. So you're going about your business, your life is unfolding, you're doing what you're doing, all of a sudden something happens, and then boom, there's a negative thought that appears that's a response. And it just happens. And the next thing you know, you're aware of a voice talking in your head. Is probably how you language it, how you perceive it, or whatever it is. There's different ways that thoughts can appear. But it gets triggered by something that happens to you. The same thing with emotions. Something happens, the next thing you know, boom, you're experiencing an emotion. And it just happens. And we divide these things into positive and negative. So there's some feelings and emotions we have that we consider positive, and if we're going about our business and a positive one appears, great. I'm very happy to experience that. Thank you very much. You know, no big deal. But when a negative emotion appears, we feel fear, we feel anxiety, we feel depression, we feel frustration, we get angry, whatever. Or if there's a negative thought that appears, you know, if there's a creative thought that appears or an interesting idea or something, who cares? That's good, that's fine. But when the negative ones appear, then we fight them, right? And we try to change them, make them go away, make them smaller, you know, different, push them into the distance. Different techniques come from different systems. But the problem is, if you look closely with clear vision and brutal honesty, when negative thoughts appear, you didn't put them there. You didn't choose them. They just appeared. As I said, you're going about your life, something happens, there's a trigger. Usually, sometimes negative thoughts or feelings can appear and we're not aware of any trigger. To my bias, there always is, whether we're aware of it or not. But the reality is we're just going about our business and then boom, negative thoughts appear. When they do, boom, negative emotions appear inside of us, and they just happen. And there are all kinds of techniques out there. To my bias, none of them work reliably or consistently. The best that people can say to me, if they're brutally honest, is sometimes if a negative thought appears, I can do something with it to change it, to make it go away, get quiet, or whatever. Sometimes, if there's a negative emotion that appears, I can do something with it. But my experience in my own life and with people sharing with me from all over the world is that nobody has the superpower of being able to, on demand, consistently, every time, when negativity appears in thought, when negativity appears in emotions, to make it go away, to change it, to make it less intense or whatever. And so what happens every day is that we're constantly fighting these things. And again, to me, there isn't any technique that reliably and consistently can help you when negativity's up, make it go away. But let's imagine for a moment that there was, okay? The reality is, we don't know where negativity comes from. We don't know why it appears when it appears, even if we're aware of a trigger, because there can be times somebody says something and then a negative thought appears. Somebody says something or does something and we start to feel negative. But then there are times that that same person says the same thing and we don't get negative about it, So the reality is, and I've talked about this in previous episodes, we don't have any control over when this appears or not, negativity. We have absolutely no control over that. It appears when it appears, whether it's emotions or thought. It does what it does. It disappears when it disappears. And ultimately for me, with the vast majority of the negativity that I struggled with, making sure the streams are still moving, ultimately, I just had to wait and hope that the negative emotion would leave on its own because I couldn't do anything consistently to get rid of it. And if there was a voice talking in my head, all this negative stuff or the other forms that thoughts can take, I just had to wait because the reality is, if you do wait, emotions will change. There are some exceptions. Some people would say they're depressed all the time, or from the moment they wake up or whatever. But in general, there are exceptions to everything that I say or anybody says. But a lot of times, if you just wait, negative thoughts stop on their own. Negative feelings change on their own. But the problem is we don't know where they come from. We don't know why they appear the way that they do. We don't have any awareness of that. We don't have any control over the core cause of it. So the best that we can do is when negativity appears mysteriously from wherever it comes from, why it's appearing the way that it does, the best that we can do is when it's up, try to do something with it. But as I talked about in a previous episode, that creates what I call an unwinnable war. Because even if there was a technique that when negativity was up could reliably make it go back down again, which again, to my bias, there is no such technique, if we're brutally honest. But even if there was, you constantly would have to use it every day. Because negative feelings are up, you'd have to use the technique to push them down again. A negative thought appears, you'd have to use the technique to make it go away. And it happens every day. Now, some days we would say we have good days, some days we would say we have bad days. There's more negativity that appears. But in general, you'd have to be using this magical technique, if it existed, which it doesn't, to make these things go away. And so that doesn't solve the core problem. That does not make you forever free from negativity. That just gives you the ability. Sometimes, and again, I've talked to people all over the world. I've tried everything for decades trying to deal with what the negativity I used to experience. I haven't studied everything, but I've studied most of the major popular party line kinds of things. And at best, you're just fighting a war every day. You have a little bit of success sometimes. Some people have none. For most of my adult life, there was nothing that would consistently get rid of negativity. Like I said, I ultimately just had to suffer, live with it, or wait for it to go away because I was completely powerless. And I never took a look at what was happening. I never took a look at where is all this coming from, this negativity, and why is it appearing, and why does it appear sometimes and not other times, even if the same thing happens, the same trigger happens? I never looked at that mystery. I never went deeper. But ultimately, on my journey into what I now call ultimate freedom awakening, I was taken deeper, and I realized one day this war is happening every single day with negativity, and I'm not winning it. Again, I talked a lot more about this in a previous episode. I looked for a magical technique that I could use to reliably make negativity go away when it appeared. I never succeeded at that. And then one day, and now it seems obvious to me, but for a long time, I just, maybe like you, I never thought about it. I never thought about maybe there's a different way, maybe there's something else that's going on here that I ought to be taking a look at. If you had a similar experience, you've been fighting with negativity every day or most days or a lot of times, and you never really asked yourself, where is this really coming from and why? And I'm not just talking, by the way, about subconscious mind or wounding from your childhood or the typical kind of inner child, any of these kinds of things that are the typical party line explanations. I'm talking about going down to the deepest level to figure out where does negativity really come from and why, and how does it work? Why is it that I'm going about my business and this happens and something happens? I call it the mind machine now, but something happens, and then the next thing we know, a negative thought's there. A negative feeling starts to move within us. And I never said, what's that process? What's the mysterious whatever that's creating this and causing it to persist? And I never looked at that. So if you never really asked yourself a question like that, and you just tried to fight every day, put a Y in the chat box or say, I know what you mean, Robert, whatever. So I know that we're on the same, I was going to say planet, but whatever. Put that in the chat box, let me know. So ultimately, that's where my journey took me. If I want the war to end, if I want to stop negativity, if I want to be forever free from negativity, the way to do it is not to find some successful way to fight it when it's up. The way to be forever free from negativity is to get down to the deepest level where it's really being caused. And again, I know there are things out there about subconscious mind and the way your brain is wired and all these other kinds of things that sound like that. And I tried those kinds of things and I realized, nope, got to go deeper. Then there was this explanation. Well, it's coming from whatever, a past life, a karma, it's this, whatever. And nope, there's something deeper, and I got to get all the way down to the core of what really creates negativity and then find out what's there. And then my hope was find some way to change it at the deepest level so that the negativity didn't appear at all. That's how you become forever free from negativity, not to have some superpowered technique that can make it go away whenever it comes up on its own. That's not being forever free from negativity. That's being an effective fighter of negativity. But to be forever free, you got to get down to the deepest level where it's all truly being caused. And it starts by understanding what's that deeper level? What's really going on there? What really creates negativity? Way beyond the odds are the things that you've read about in books or you've heard from other kinds of sources. You got to get really deep. You got to dig really deep. This, in fact, is what has become clear to me is what my mission has been and what the teachings that I share and the experiences that I offer online and live ultimately went to is I had to get down to the deepest level myself where all of the stuff that I was struggling with was really coming from. And again, I'm not talking about subconscious mind or any of the kind of stuff that's popular and rampant out there. You got to go much deeper. What's underneath all of that? What's underneath everything that's talked about in what I call the party line, the most popular teachings? And what I found out is there is something going on, and it starts out with you understanding what is this deeper level? What's going on there? How does it actually work? And then there's the opportunity for things to change there. And when things change at that deepest causative level, they then ripple up and they ripple out and they change everything. And what I found happened for me is that that's what enabled me to be forever free from negativity. Again, it wasn't that when negativity came up, for whatever reason, with whatever mysterious process was behind it, I had some effective way to push it away, make it smaller, whatever, that I just, again, became a more effective fighter, but it just didn't come up. And there's stages on this, by the way, on this journey of things being changed at the deepest level, the true causative level of negativity. The first stage is seeing what's really going on, getting into a truthful relationship, as I call it, truthful with a capital T, with negativity. And then seeing when it comes up what's really going on. And that goes beyond the scope of what we have time for here. I'm almost out of time already. But the first thing is that what we call negativity can still appear as a result of this mysterious process. But the way that we experience it's different. It isn't causing suffering. It isn't causing pain. It isn't, oh, God, that's terrible. How can I get rid of that and make that stop? You know, or if you're like I used to be, shut up to the mind, you know? Enough of this negative stuff about myself, enough of the negative stuff about other people, enough of the negative thoughts about what's happening. Shut up, is the way I used to be. If you know what that's like, I put an S in the chat box for shut up, that you know what it's like to constantly be telling your mind that. Or I wish I could, change how I'm feeling. And some people, again, they'll take drugs to try to feel better. They can be prescription drugs or, illegal drugs, recreational drugs, whatever. Some people drink, some people work out, all these different things when the negativity's up again. But everybody watching this video knows none of that ultimately works reliably. And the reason is it doesn't get to the true cause. It doesn't explain what really causes all of the negativity in the first place. And there's a different cause from a certain perspective of negative thoughts than feelings. It's all coming from the same basic core, but there's a different process at work. And until you get down to that deepest level, and changes are made there. And by the way, what I discovered is I hoped that somehow I'd be shown what this deeper level was, and then I would be shown a technique that I, Robert, could use to make changes at this deepest level. I'm seeing here that my name is blocking that. Sorry about that. I'm looking at the viewfinder of my camera, and I'm not seeing that my name in that little thing, so I've been using my hands. You may not have been able to see it. I apologize. You got to get down to the deepest level where the negativity is really being caused. And I thought somehow I could find my way down there on my own or with help, and then I, Robert, would be able to have a technique or something that I could do to make changes here that would then get rid of the true cause of the negativity and stop it from coming up. And what I ultimately realized is that can happen, but I can't do it. There isn't any technique that I, Robert, can use. There isn't any technique that you can use to get yourself down to this level or to make changes there, but that you can take a journey. And that's what happened to me. I took a journey. And I was taken by this intelligence that I really am, down to this deepest level. And I was shown what's really going on here about everything, and that's what's in the Ultimate Freedom Experience. But in this case, what's really causing all this negativity? And what's causing it to feel bad and to feel like suffering and all this kind of, what's really causing it? And I was shown that, the true cause at the deepest, 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 deepest level. And then I watched. I didn't do it, but I watched as changes were made here at this deepest, deepest, deepest level. And then what I noticed, as I mentioned, is two stages. One, what I used to call negativity in thought and in feeling still appeared pretty much the way that it had. But my perception of it, my experience of it had changed radically. And I was aware of what was appearing, but it was totally different. It wasn't bad anymore. It wasn't negative anymore. It wasn't painful anymore. It was not struggle and suffering anymore. It was just, I call it again, being in a truthful with a capital T relationship with what's appearing in your life. And then it vanished. And then it vanished. And that's not something that happened in a couple of days or a couple of weeks. For me, this unfolded over about 2.5 years. And that's not a rule or a formula, but that's what happened with me. This journey down to this deepest level, being shown what happens there, seeing as changes were made there, and then seeing those changes ripple up and ripple out. That specific journey was about 2.5 years, and there was about 8 years of a different stage of the journey that took place before that I talked about in the Busting Loose books and in the other phase 2, as I call it, teachings and things that I shared. And so this is what I wanted to share with you. And it now seems so obvious to me, but for the vast majority, if you don't know, I'm 61 years old right now, and I would say for the first, I don't know, I'll have to say 52 years maybe, I can't remember exactly, first 52 years of my life, I just wanted to get better at fighting the negativity. I didn't realize I was looking at it the wrong way, so to speak. I was trying to become a better fighter, and it just never occurred to me, wait a minute, even if I was a better fighter, that doesn't solve the real problem. You know, you probably heard of something like this in medicine, where there are some doctors that get accused of they only deal with symptoms and they don't deal with the real cause of what's causing the symptom. They just treat the surface of it, the symptom. And there's a lot of natural health care and other things out there that say you got to get down to the true cause of what's causing that symptom and heal that. And then the symptom will go away and it'll stay away. You know, it's a similar kind of a thing. And so that's the big takeaway that I want you to have from this, if you didn't already know that from my sphere of influence or somewhere else about negativity, is that it's the same kind of a thing. The real solution, the only permanent solution, the only way to be forever free from negativity is to somehow take a journey down to that causative, truly with a capital T, causative level, where negativity is really being caused. And again, I'm telling you, you got to go much deeper than anything I've ever seen out there that's popular or well known. And there are a lot of things out there that sound like that, that say that they're doing something like that, that to me, they still don't go deep enough. And they may get rid of one form of negativity or one form of thought negativity or emotional negativity, but then something else comes along and there's still the negativity that we're fighting with. And if there is something out there that's really worked for you or someone else, then that's great, and I'm thrilled for you, and it's a real exception to the common rule. So to really be forever free from negativity, again, to repeat myself, not just to be a better fighter of it when it comes up with this mysterious process, it's to get down to the deepest level, see this intelligence that's who you really are, make changes there that then ripple up and out. And that's the only answer. That's the only solution. Now, for part of this, I told you that I was taken down to this deepest level, and I was shown what's going on there. And then I watched, so to speak, as changes were made there that then rippled up and out and changed what was going on with negativity. A big part of that, as it relates to emotions, I talked about in one of my books called The Ultimate Key to Happiness. And you may have seen this recently. I've been giving away a free copy, an ebook copy of that book. And so you can get a free copy of this book that will take you into much more detail of what I just shared with you. If you go to this website address, robertscheinfeld.com/happy. For a limited time, I don't know how long I'm going to do it. I may do it for a while, I may not. You can download a free ebook copy of that book, and it will tell you exactly what it is that I discovered and exactly what happened to me in terms of the true cause of emotional negativity and the change that has to take place, that can take place, that gets it at its root, gets it at its core, makes a change, that then ripples up and out and makes you bulletproof, you could say, to what I call life's ups and downs and twists and turns, that enables you to be forever free from negativity as it relates to emotions. Now, thoughts are a slightly different thing. Some of the things are shared in common, but that book is all about emotions. In terms of thought negativity and other things, I go into that in the Ultimate Freedom Experience. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. And now what I want to do is share a quick message with you about the Ultimate Freedom Experience that I offer. Again, this is the way that I help people get down to that deepest level, what sets into motion the changes being made here that ripple up and out. I want you to know about that, and then I'll come on back and we'll do questions and answers. Again, questions and answers approximately until 12 noon my time, the hour point of this show. The main focus is questions and answers about what I've shared here or in some of the other episodes, but I have to repeat, if you ask me questions about books I've written, online or live experiences that I've offered, I'm not going to answer them. That's not the point of this show. And if you have a question, please type a Q for question and a colon in front of it. I don't know how many people are on the show right now. Streaming's still working, good. Or how many questions or comments or whatever I'm going to get, but I have to scan a bunch of things here on two different computers. So if you have a question, put a Q and a colon and then your question. So I got this message for you, and then I'll come on back. We'll do questions and answers. All right, cool. Here we go. During the episodes of this show, I talk a lot about an inner shift that must take place before things will truly and permanently change in your life. That inner shift I speak about absolutely can happen for you, but you cannot think your way there, technique your way there, or create, manifest, or attract it. It has to happen in a different way. I can help you experience that shift, and the best way that I know to do it is through what I call the Ultimate Freedom Experience that I offer live and online. To get all the details, visit my website, robertscheinfeld.com, and take the first step down that road, which is to download and read the guide that I created called Living the Unblocked Life. Uncover and dissolve what secretly blocks you most. It's free, it's a quick read at just 11 pages, and it will start the ball rolling for you. Get your copy at robertscheinfeld.com. All right, questions and answers. I'm going to turn this off. Again, if you have a question on anything that I've talked about today or about something I talked about in a previous episode, type a Q and then a colon in the comments or the chat box, depending on where you're looking at this. You can do this if you're watching a replay or a recording as well. So let's see what we got. And I've got to look away from the camera because I've got two different computers here, which is where I can see the questions. So this first question is from Dorothy. Is meditation just another technique that will not take us deep enough? Well, Dorothy, one of the things that I discovered, and this was a shock to me, and perhaps you, Dorothy, or other people watching are wiser than I used to be. But I used to think that there were rules and formulas, and there was just one way that everything is. You know, I might not know what it is, but there's just one way that everything is. And I discovered on my journey down to this deepest level that there is no one way that it is. There are no rules or formulas. Everything is custom designed for us as unique individuals here, having unique human experiences, and fulfilling unique missions and purposes. So it's not possible for me to say globally anything about meditation or about anything else. So what I talk about is two things. What happened to me and what's reported to me has happened to other people that come into my sphere of influence. And so I look for patterns, I look for trends, but there aren't any rules or formulas, so let's just be clear. Anything can work for anybody in a unique situation, consistently in a blip one day, but not another, whatever. So, that said, if I look at what happened when I tried to use meditation, if I look at what happens with the stories that are reported to me, the trend, the pattern, the tendency is some people, when they meditate, they have difficulty meditating, and they would say, I can't ever get my mind to quiet down. And I try to meditate, but I just can't get there. I can't do it, whatever. I don't get peaceful. I don't get the benefits. That's one thing that happens. Someone tries to use meditation to, we're talking about negativity here, to address negativity in their life directly or indirectly, and it just fails. The other thing that is a big trend and a big tendency and a big pattern is somebody learns to meditate and they have a particular whatever technique or whatever that they use to meditate. And while they're meditating, they are peaceful. We'll just use that language. But then the minute they come out of meditation and they go back to their life, as I mentioned earlier in the show, this mysterious process that runs, they're going about their life and boom, negative thoughts, boom, negative feelings. And they're back to the races of fighting with negativity. And then the only way they can feel peaceful again is to go back into a meditative state. But the benefits of what they get in a meditative state do not get carried over into their private life. Now, these are the two biggest patterns and trends that I notice. What happened to me, what's reported to me. There's a small group of people, and to me, sometimes people say this, all due respect, and it just isn't true. And sometimes people say this, and it is true. There are people who report, but it's a very small percentage, that they have a regular meditation practice, and from practicing meditation on a regular basis, something shifted. And it isn't just that they get more peaceful when they're meditating and then they come back out of it and they struggle with negativity again. The regular meditation somehow made some sort of a shift, and it overflowed into their life and they experience less negativity. Now, I'm not aware of anybody that says that and says negativity completely disappeared. Doesn't mean it couldn't happen or it doesn't happen. I'm just not aware of it. But there are people that say that. But for most people that I'm aware of, and I'm biased, and on my own journey, and looking at what's going on in the lives of other people that come into my sphere of influence, getting back to your original question, meditation is a technique that is not designed. It's not that it's a lie or that there's anything wrong with it, but it's not designed in my language. An argument could be made, but in my language, it's not designed to take you down to this deepest level and to have a change made at the true causative level of negativity that, as I said, can ripple up and out. For any of you that are aware of the Busting Loose from the Money Game book and those teachings, I talked about the sun and the clouds, and that the sun is truth with a capital T and the life that you really want and all this kind of stuff, and it's blocked by a layer of cloud cover. And that most techniques don't do anything to get rid of the cloud cover. And that's why things don't change. So to me, this is my bias. Somebody could say, no, Robert, you're wrong, blah, blah, blah. But the way I look at things, language can get difficult. Meditation is a tool that's designed to do something else. And sometimes it does that something else and gives people that benefit, but it's not designed to take you down to this deepest level, show you what's going on there, what has really been causing the negativity. Make a change there that then ripples up, and it's just not meant to do that, which is why it doesn't. So, long-winded explanation, which those of you that know me, happens a lot with me because the way I'm built as a person, I need to give a complete, clear, thorough answer to questions, and so I tend to be a little bit more long-winded than some other people. And so that's my long-winded answer to your question, is that in general, yes, meditation is just another technique that does not do what I'm talking about because it isn't designed to. And even in the cases where somebody has a long-term meditation practice and they would say, in general, I'm more peaceful in my life even when I'm not meditating, It to me is still not that they were taken down to the deeper level. They were shown what's really going on there, and then watched as deep permanent changes were made at this deep causative level that rippled up. Something else was going on there. And I'm happy for those people that they noticed a benefit, but to me it's a different thing. And to me, that's not what meditation is really designed to do. But there could be some form of meditation that I don't know about. There could be some explanation, and it would sound like it's the same thing as what I've said. But to me, it's different, and that's the best answer that I can give you. Let's see. By the way, anybody that just listened to that explanation, if it seems to make sense, if it's given you some clarity, put something in the comments. Let me know. I'd love to hear from you, including Dorothy. All right, let's see what else we got. Andrea says, do you mean there is still negativity, but it doesn't bother you? Or is it that you're in a peaceful relationship with it? What I experienced, and again, remember, no rules or formulas. There's just patterns and trends and tendencies. On my journey, and when I guide people through what I call the ultimate freedom experience, or when I guide people through what's in the Ultimate Key to Happiness book, what tends to happen is it starts out the way that it always was. Things happen in your life, boom, negative thoughts appear and you suffer, you struggle, you're negative, you don't feel good. Something happens, you have negative emotions, so-called, and you struggle with them, and they're painful, and you try to get rid of them, and you fight them. And so the journey starts out with, here's the way it's always been. Here's my struggle with negativity, and here's the way it's been. And then you're taken down to this deeper level, and you're shown what's really going on. What's causing the so-called negative emotions? What's causing the so-called negative thoughts? What's really going on at this deeper level? What's happening? Why is it happening that way for humans? You know, the truth of it with a capital T. And then changes start to be made, again, at that deep causative level. And then we move in general, but it can happen any way. Somebody could leap to the next stage. That isn't what I tend to see, and it isn't what happened to me. So the first stage is it's negative the way that it always was. The second stage is emotions appear, thoughts appear, and language is really hard here. And they appear the way that they always did. Whatever it is, a voice talking saying blah, 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 you're stupid, you dropped the ball again, whatever the negative thoughts were. If it was a voice, whatever it was, it still appears. If it's emotions, which I call, I'm not unique in this, movements of energy in inner space, that the emotions appear, and they appear the same way that, excuse me, that they used to. But because of a shift that's taken place at this deepest level, your relationship to it and the way that you experience it is different. And I can't go into the detail of it here. There's a bunch of it here in this book. If you want to go deeper into what happens, what kind of a shift takes place. So the second stage is what you used to call negativity still appears, but it doesn't bother you anymore. But if it was voices that you heard, you still hear the voices. If it was emotional movements of energy and inner space in my language, they still appear, but it's not, I'm angry and I feel bad. I'm frustrated and I feel bad. Something different happens. There's a shift that takes place. And it doesn't feel bad anymore. It doesn't hurt anymore. It doesn't bother you anymore. Words don't serve. That's the second stage. And some people, as long as I know, I've only been teaching this stuff for maybe 5 years now, so I don't have long-term scientific, documentation of what happens long-term. But what I've seen so far is some people, that change is made, and these things appear, but there's what I call a truthful with a capital T relationship with it. It isn't a problem. It isn't bad. It doesn't hurt. There isn't a desire. Would you please shut up? Make it go away. I hate that. It's just okay. Blah, blah, blah is appearing. And I get that I used to think it was terrible and negative and bad, and I don't anymore. And they just stay there for a while. And then the third stage is what you call negativity, the actual appearance, a voice appearing and saying blah, 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 vanishes. The particular movement of energy that you used to call whatever, anger, frustration, negativity, of whatever the name is, vanishes. And these things can happen in your life that used to be triggers, but nothing happens. The negativity vanishes, which is what I call forever free from negativity. Now the mind can say, I want stage 3. I want the negativity to disappear. I just want it gone, and I get that. Been there, done that. As the saying goes, got the t-shirt. But the reality is, in the second stage, if it can appear and it isn't a problem, and it isn't negative, and it doesn't hurt, and it's not bad, and there isn't the desire, oh, I hate that, I got to find some way to shut the mind up, stop that emotion, it doesn't matter. Because you're free from negativity even if this same thing appears, but you're in a truthful relationship with it. Doesn't matter, because you are forever free from negativity because it's not negative to you anymore. But for me and most of the people whose journeys that I'm aware of, it moves into the third stage. And there's no rule. 6 months of stage 2 and then stage 3. There's no rule or formula. Again, for me, the whole thing was about 2.5 years, but I've seen it be much quicker for people. I've seen it be in the middle of that, year. I've seen people that it was longer than it was for me. We're all different. But those are the 3 stages. It's negative the way it always used to be. Something appears and it's negative and it's perceived as negative. That's stage 1. Stage 2, it appears, same thing. But because of a change that's been made, it no longer appears negative. Again, it's no longer a problem. It's no longer uncomfortable, whatever language you want. That's stage 2. And then stage 3, it vanishes. And there's so much more I could say about this, but we don't have time. There's a lot more in the book, and there's a huge amount more in the Ultimate Freedom Experience. Deanna says, I feel like I'm more clear each week. Thank you. All right. Question from Edwin. How many of your clients discovered ultimate freedom in the way you have? I understand this can't be confirmed, but oh well. I can't give you an answer to that, Edwin, beyond just saying a lot at this point. And the reason that I can't is because, number one, I don't count. I don't measure that. And number 2, it's hard for me to know the details unless somebody comes forward and tells me. There are people who come to the Ultimate Freedom Experience here at my house for a live 5-day experience, and then they go back home. And if they don't communicate with me, I don't know what happened or how long it took or what the details are. And some people don't communicate with me. And some people, they go through live, online, whatever, they don't communicate with me, and then 3 years later, 4 years later, they surface and they say, oh my God, this changed and that changed and that changed, and I had no idea. Same thing from the Ultimate Key to Happiness book. There's tens of thousands of readers all over the world, but I don't get details from most of them. So what I can tell you, because as the show is called, Brutally Honest, I'm always brutally honest about everything in terms of through my biased eyes. Does everybody who I share this with get the benefits? No. There is no teaching. There is no anything that everybody gets the benefit from. To my bias, never has been anything like that, never will be. And it has to do with our missions, our purposes, the timing, different things that are unique to us. So does everybody get the prize, at the end of the rainbow? In this case, forever free from negativity? No. Do a lot? Yes. And this is happening all over the world now, because I've been sharing this all over the world. From offering an online experience of Ultimate Freedom Experience and then doing it live. As you may or may not know, where are we on time? I was just in China, And I finished up the first group of Chinese people going through the Ultimate Freedom Experience, where there was a translator and it was offered in Chinese. I finished the first group and then started a second group. And I think it was in February I finished the first group of people in Japan, where it was given in Japanese with a translator. And then I've done it for English-speaking people in different places, and they've come and done it live with me here or in other places. And I'm seeing what I described. I can take people down to the deepest level through the Ultimate Freedom Experience. That's what it's designed to do. I can absolutely do that, and I do. I can show you what's going on at the deepest level. Absolutely, for everybody, I can do that. The thing that I don't always know about is, because remember I said when you get down to the deepest level, you find out what's really going on there. Then the intelligence that's who you really are, that I now call true creative essence, has to make changes there. I can't do it, you can't do it. Changes can be made, and they are, but it has to be made by who you really are. And then, how fast, how big are the changes made? How fast, how big do they ripple up and out? That's different for all of us, and that's where I don't always get the information. But the Ultimate Freedom Experience is specifically designed to do the first parts of what I talked about here. Take you down to the deepest level, show you what's going on there, show you how it works, and support, facilitate, set into motion. I call it truth virus injections, these changes. And very often who you really are, true creative essence, again, is my language. When people come to the Ultimate Freedom Experience, or they discover what's in the Ultimate Key to Happiness book, part of the reason they're discovering it is because the plan, part of their mission and purpose is, true creative essence is going to make these changes in its own way with its perfect timing for you. And so again, long-winded explanation, it happens a lot. Is it everybody? No. What's the total number of people worldwide right now? I have no idea. I would guess thousands, at least many, many, many hundreds of people that have experienced this that are getting the benefit, but there's no way for me to give you an accurate number. Okay, let's see if we got anything else. Again, if you have a question, type a Q and a colon in the chat or the comments. Dorothy says, thank you. It does make sense, and I appreciate your detailed explanation. Cool. Edwin, let me know what you think about what I just shared if you're willing. Andrea, I appreciate comment back from what I said for you or anybody else. Oh, Andrea said, thank you for your detailed explanation. Okay, cool. Steve says, is it the same energy, positive and negative, and at the level it shows you that truth? Again, I would invite you to get the book if you haven't already read it, or participate in the Ultimate Freedom Experience to get a detailed answer to that question. But the short answer to the question is, and this probably will sound like some spiritual teaching that a lot of you have heard before, but to my bias, because I heard all those things, and then when I got down to the deeper level and I saw what was really going on, I saw that it was very different, even if the words seemed the same. Is that as it relates to emotion, and I'm being very simple here, it goes way beyond this, and there's a lot more that's important to know. If you say to yourself, what's happening inside of me? Again, I call it inner space, that I call emotion. What's happening? Well, if you close your eyes the next time that you're experiencing emotion and you say, what's happening right now that I'm calling whatever, happy, sad, frustrated, angry, depressed, what you notice is there's something mysterious inside of you that's moving. And it's moving in a unique way. That's the best way that I can language it. And what I discovered is a good word for that's energy. You know, I didn't make it up. It's talked a lot about, you know, out there, that emotions are energy moving, you know, and it's a good way of looking at it. I use that word. So the energy that's moving, that we call emotion, in and of itself, is not positive or negative. It's not good or bad. This is not a theory. This is not a philosophy. This is not an idea or a concept. You can actually experience that energy by itself before the mind gets a hold of it. And the book explains all of this. And you can see there's no positive or negative there. It's just energy moving. It's not anger. It's not frustration. It's not happy. It's just something mysterious that's moving. And in and of itself, it's not what we call it. And the positive, negative judgment of it isn't true either. Now, here, language is tough. But it's okay if you say that all emotions are positive. You don't have to say they're neutral or whatever. It's okay to say all thoughts are positive, all emotions are positive, if you just want to use language. But the reality is it isn't positive or negative. It isn't happy, sad. It isn't good or bad. It's just what it is. It's a unique movement of energy that we're aware of, and then the mind gets involved and it becomes something else. But that doesn't do justice to the truth of this. So again, if you haven't, read this book. It'll go into much more detail, and the Ultimate Freedom Experience will take you even deeper, not just about emotions, but about everything else. But that's just a quick, brief answer to your question. Andrea says, your alternative look on truth inspired me a lot and yet changed my sight of many aspects of life. Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you. I'm thrilled to hear it. Always thrilled to hear when the things that I share have impact in somebody's story. Let me see here. Dorothy says, is the 5-day live on-site session part of the packages that you offer? Yeah. It varies. In general, I offer one live 5-day, live 5-day Ultimate Freedom experiences here at my home. And I do it for a small group. You know, the target is a maximum of 10 here at my house. And usually I do it twice a year. Occasionally I've done it 3 times. I think once I did it 4 times. But this year it's going to be 2 times. The second one's actually coming up next month in September. And there's 1 seat left. You can go to my website and go to the Join Me Live page, and you can get all the details and find out the dates and everything. I think it starts September 13th. And then if somebody else invites me, like I've been invited to Australia, I've been invited to China, I've been invited to Japan, I was just invited to go to Europe. It's not official yet. I don't know if it'll happen. But if I'm invited and it works for me, I'll do it live somewhere else. And sometimes it's 5 days, and sometimes it's longer, or it's broken into 2 pieces if there's a translation in another language involved. But I offer it 2 times, maximum 3 here at my home for a small group of people. And then there's the online experience, which is taken from a live that I did at my home. It's the same exact thing. It was a camera that filmed me doing it live. But it's available online, and it's 24/7. Anybody can start at any time and go through at any time and can get access to me in 2 of the packages to get coaching and support. Patricia says hello. Hi, Patricia. Thrilled to connect with you. Hope everything's going well. La Liga, Spain soccer is about to start again. Hopefully Real Madrid will have a better season all the way around. Let me see. All right. We're out of time. If there's one more question, I'll take a look at it. One more comment I'd love to hear. Liz says, is the mind purely mechanical, or is there an awareness that it's making things up about the emotion? Again, the way I'm built, I have to be very precise, and I have to be very honest, and I have to give a thorough answer. So 99.9% of the time, something like that, to my bias and experience. And again, this is all explained here in this book, about emotions anyway. The rest of it's an Ultimate Freedom Experience. It's purely mechanical. And who we really are, that I call true creative essence, has the ability to change anything, to vary anything, to make an exception to anything. Again, no rules and formulas if you were here to have me say that. And so who we really are sometimes modifies the mechanical process if it's supportive to our journeys, our missions, and purposes. And so that, again, is me needing to be thorough and detailed. But the basic answer to your question is it's a completely mechanical process. It's put into place as we grow up. It shifts and is unstable until a certain age, and then it pretty much locks into place, and it can change and does for certain people in certain situations, but for most people, I can't tell you the age. This mechanical process gets built, it locks into place, and then it just replicates the mechanical process on autopilot, and sometimes who we really are modifies that, but most of the time it runs on autopilot and it's a purely mechanical process. All right, so that completes this episode. If you came on late, let me just repeat. This is the last episode of Brutally Honest Tuesdays that's going to be on a regular schedule of every Tuesday at the same time. I mentioned at the beginning of the show, my travel schedule and other things that are happening in my life are making it too hard of a thing to manage for me to have to constantly say, oh, not next week, oh, not next 2 weeks, whatever. So I decided to flip the dynamic, not do it regularly, same day, same time, but when I pop up and do it, I'll let you know. So again, my invitation to you is go to this on my website, sign up for the email list for the Brutally Honest Tuesdays show. Promise you no spam, you're not going to get blitzed with stuff. But then when I do come on to do a live show like this again, I can send you an email and let you know. So, let me see. Andrea says, we are working at this to invite you to German, but it is a lot of organization work. Cool, I understand. Okay, so I have my little closing video for you. Thank you for being here, whether you're live or you're watching this on recording. Again, if you got benefit from this, please like it, share it, let me know comments now before you leave. Or if you're watching this on video, please let me know how this has impacted you, what it has set into motion. And I'll look forward to our next form of contact, whatever shape that takes. And here's my close for this week's show. Cool. See you soon in some other way, shape, or form. For more information on how I can help you unblock yourself and experience ultimate freedom, visit my website, robertscheinfeld.com, and while you're there, get the guide. The guide will open a gateway into a free video masterclass that gives you all the details.